All righty, let's get started here. Today's take on the market, September 24th, 2021. My name is Arnie Gutierrez. I am a senior product coach here at MarketSmith Investors Business Daily. I am filling in for the all-famous, all-knowing Scott Sinclair. He's actually in New York right now. He's going to be speaking at the Traders Summit. So good stuff. Just an FYI, any stock I go over today is for educational purposes only. I am not a licensed advisor, so I cannot give any buy or sell recommendations, okay, nor can I assist with portfolio management. If you could just take a second to read that, grab a glass of water. Okay. Market gauges, right? So this is something I thought about today. Actually, I thought about it yesterday too, depending on what the market was going to do today, and I still wasn't fully convinced, but very close, that market's starting to show some promise, considering what happened last Friday or last week and on Monday. It was kind of ugly, but you did get that reversal on Monday from the lows. I will talk about that briefly, but if I had to really give it a clear color, I would be it'd be a hybrid of green and yellow meshed together. Okay. And I'm willing to say this a little bit more on the green side, but that's not possible. So I'm going to keep defense first with me. So I'm going to keep everything as is. Very curious to see and see what's going to happen, what we're going to interpret next week. Okay. You have market, you have leaders, and then you have portfolio all on the yellow. Obviously, red light, green light, orange or yellow light, right? Gives you an idea where we're at. Green means good. For those of you that are new, red means bad. All right. So right there in the middle. All right. Markets. Let's talk about the markets. So give me a second here. And bear with me. I apologize. I need to pull up the NASDAQ, and just an FYI, upper left-hand corner, you have a drop dominion that allows you to get to the NASDAQ. I'm going into MarketSmith, and I'm pulling up today's action. So money's action, obviously, that big red bar there. All right, so like I mentioned earlier, it reversed off the lows. Great sign, right? Showed weakness and completely turned around, and it stayed that way. All right, a couple things I'm looking at here on the NASDAQ, my interpretation in the last 5 days. We finally got over the 50-day, which is great. It's living above the 50-day, which is great. Now, there's a couple variables that can play out here. First, if it pulls back, I want to see this being as a support. I'm drawing the line on the sand. If it does pull back, if it doesn't, I want to see it above the 50-day, but specifically, I'm going to be looking at the 21-day. I like stocks that are, when they're above the 21-day and trending up, I'm going to rephrase it. I apologize. I like my indices. When they're going up, trending up, I want the 21-day as a support, okay? The 21-day exponential moving average. And to add that, for those of you that are new, you can go to the wrench here, upper right-hand corner, go to moving averages, and you can add two additional moving averages. The 21-day exponentials in green for me, and the 10-day exponentials in purple. So it's living a couple good things here. It's living above the 50-day, which is fantastic, and it's starting. And now it's above the 21-day, which is great, and it's holding. We'll see what happens in the next couple of days, how it plays out. Remember, we don't predict, we interpret. So that's what I'm interpreting right now. Okay. Click on the drop-down menu here. S&P 500. Okay, very similar. Yesterday got above the 50-day. Today it's living above the 50-day moving average, which is that red line here. And it is now above the 21-day slightly. Okay, so we're going to see how this plays out. Again, interpretation. Here's the bottom here. If we do get a pullback, I'm going to hope that this plays as a support area. Okay, because it does show that it did drop, and then we had a lot of buyers. We had buyers coming in. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. And then finally, I'm going to do the IWM Russell 2000. You have that there. It's been very schizophrenic, very choppy. It's one of those You know, the IWM, the Russell has been the last 5 or 6 months. It just left a really bad taste in my mouth. So again, it's looking for a direction. And when you get that sideways action, it's pretty tough. Okay. So just FYI, it's consolidating still. There's no, as you can see in the chart, there's no clear direction. It's above the 50-day, it's above the 21-day. It was below the 200-day for a couple of days, but quickly bounced right back up, which is great to see. You're seeing this here. Okay, so again, it's something you want to be looking at, but again, it's a little frustrating. And obviously today's Friday, today's action, the big news was one of the big news was obviously Nike with the Dow. It got hit pretty hard. So, but specifically, I'm focusing on the S&P, the Nasdaq, and the IWM. Okay, so what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna go into. Give me 1 second here. Industry groups. Now, for those of you that are new, our database is made up of 197 industry groups. Gives you a nice little macro perspective on our database, which has over 6,000 stocks. So definitely something I'm going to be following. Give me 1 second here. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the charts by sharing it. And I'm going to go into on the upper right-hand corner, I'm going into open stock ideas. Get this out of the way. And I'm going to pull up the 197 industry groups. How I get there is I'm looking at the weekly review, pulling up the 197 industry groups. I'm going to maximize it. And you're going to see usually it's in alphabetical order, but right now I've sorted already based on the industry group rank, the 3-month industry group rank. Now, this is a different way of looking at it. You know, usually you want to see the top 40. This is one way I like looking on the weekends is I like sorting it based on 3 months ago, where was it ranked at? And I want the weakest ones on top. So you're going to see energy and solar 3 months ago was 197. Now it's currently 173. There are a couple industry groups I'm looking at that I felt had a nice little pop with regards to definitely getting catching my attention. Okay, so I'm looking at the 3-month ranking, and as I scroll down, there's a couple of industry groups here, and what I'm doing is I'm doing my fishing. I'm looking for that pop there. You start to see that. And looking at this here, you know, it's I apologize, my eyesight's a little, I'm just gonna go into that. Actually, it's CRM. I'm trying to get into that industry group. So I'm taking a shortcut, pulling up the computer software enterprise, which is currently ranked 17th, Salesforce. And I'm pulling this up and I'm going to maximize it. Have that there. Okay, looking at the 197 industry group here, specifically, like I mentioned, I'm looking for that pop, and I'm looking for that rotation to take place. So I'm looking at computer software enterprise 157, ranking 3 months ago. Last week it was ranked 16th. This week it's ranked 17th. Again, and we're always focusing on the top 40. That's usually where you're going to find a lot of the big winners historically. Pulling this up here, and you're going to see, for example, CRM. CRM had a nice little breakout today. Which is fantastic for this industry group. It did pop. It broke out of a 55-week consolidation. So that's why I like looking at the 3-month ranking, sorting it based on with the 197 on top and seeing where that pop is taking place. Okay, so, or that movement's taking place. So it went from 157, actually 6 months ago, so 174, 157, 16, and number 17 as well. Okay, so always good seeing that type of action, especially in an industry like enterprise software, where a lot of it tells you that businesses are potentially starting to get back into the groove of things, and it's post COVID. I mean, actually, I'm not going to say post COVID, but um, obviously in the time we're in now. Okay, so that's one of the ones I'm going to be looking at as far as doing my analysis. Another one I'm checking out, that industry group that I'm starting to see some momentum taking place, is looking at the 197 list here. You know, semiconductors here, 79 3 months ago, last week 4, currently 4. I'm going to pull this up, and you're seeing NVIDIA's in here and so forth. It's been holding up very nicely, though. So that's a great sign. We start seeing these industry groups holding up, especially in the type of volatility we've had the last couple of weeks. So it's definitely something I'm going to look at and dive into and find out which stocks are moving up or forming a base and so forth. You can see AMD is in this as well. It had a nice little pullback here, but it's, I can see it consolidating, forming another pattern as well. With that said, those are definitely two of the industry groups that are catching my attention. If you go into, now's the time where I'm going to talk about specific stocks. Okay. I'm going to highlight a couple stocks that I'm looking at. Definitely want to highlight this stock, and I'm excited to talk about it because it was in the near pivot for a good amount of time, and it broke out of it broke out today. It was Snap, and you can see that action there. And what I love about Snap, the price action, the volume action, is there's about 17.5 million shares being traded in the last its 50-day average volume. But today, when it popped and went into the pivot area, it traded 62% above its 50-day average volume. Okay, 28 million shares were traded. Guess who's pushing that stock up? It's not our 20,000, 10,000 shares, right? These are institutions coming in now. Okay, when you get that type of action, it's a positive sign, making all-time highs. The market's been questionable, but the volume is there. And that's the beauty behind the near pivot. It was highlighting it there for you. It was there for about 3 or 4 days, and it did break out, which is a great, great sign. Okay. Another stock that looks like it found it's consolidated very nicely. And I hear a lot of people talking about it, but I'm going to still harp on it because the chart looks very nice. And it's in a very strong industry group, oil and gas. It is what it is. Right now, I know alternative energies in play as well, but until proven otherwise, there's a lot of smart money going into this, or big money going into this. Currently, it's ranked 21 out of 197. So again, I'm going to be looking at these stocks as well. Definitely consolidating very, very nicely. It's a 13-week consolidation. So if it does break out, I'm going to want to see volume going with it, especially when you get this type of price action. Okay. Let me just adjust let me pull this back a little bit. You can change the view here. You get this type of, and it's catching its breath, right? I love that because, it gets, for those that want to take profits, they can take profits, but the ones that believe in it, they're going to believe in it. It's going to be here for a good, it's going to hold up very nicely. So again, I'm seeing this type of action. I like the consolidation. I like the story behind it. All right. Another stock that broke out in this industry group, and I want to emphasize that a lot of stocks, the winning stocks, the leading stocks break out in packs. They have 1, 2, or 3. Okay. We just don't know who what is the winning horse. But another stock within this industry as well is Devon Energy. Broke out. What day did it break out? It broke out from the near pivot. It's in recent breakouts. Actually, pull up recent breakouts because it gives me a nice little history. On the 24th, week of the 24th, so I believe it broke out yesterday, and I can see that on the chart. Yeah, I did. Okay, so it did break out. Again, it's showing a lot of strength. I love the industry that it's in. The numbers are looking very, very good. But I want to highlight, though, that earnings are coming out in 39 days. But look at the number of funds have almost doubled within the last 4 quarters. Number of funds that are buying this stock, okay, which is always a good sign when you start doing your analysis on these stocks. And it broke out of second stage base. There's a high probability of the breakout working first, second, or third stage base. Okay, so yeah, Devon Energy is another one I'm keeping an eye on. And again, these are not buy or sell recommendations. I'm just doing my analysis with that. Another industry that it's kind of catching my attention as well, Hilton. Here's another stock industry, leisure, traveling. You have Hilton Grand Vacations. You have this here, broke out a couple of days ago. But again, if you're looking for like a post-COVID play, it went through this nice little correction in the last 16 weeks. It's had a nice little run up, and then it popped again in this pivot area here. So I'm going to wait and see what's happening. You can buy within the pivot area, but this is a nice little pop as well as another industry I'm looking at here is MGM gaming equipment. All right, obviously they're going to start getting into the sports booking, sports betting. Let me rephrase that with like DraftKings and stuff like that. But the numbers are starting to look pretty good, and this just had a nice little cup. It's showing some promise here, and today it did have some nice price action actually yesterday. So with that said, let me pull up our information, and here's our information. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to send us an email or give us a call. These are usually about 10 to 15 minutes in length. Scott will be here next week. I'm more of a fill-in. But again, with the market the way it is right now, next week's going to be very interesting. Like I said, it was like as far as gauging the strength and weakness of the market, it would have been morphed into like a yellow-green kind of thing. But because of what happened on Monday, you always want to be cautious when you get that type of action. But I love the fact that it did show some resilience, and it did get pulled back, reversed, and then it's been holding up very nicely. With that said, be safe out there. Have a happy weekend, happy trading, and we'll see what happens on Monday. Take care. Have a good one. Good night.